Test. 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Test. Yep, good.
Come on, live stream, please. Thank you. Okay, members, we'll move on to agenda item 1, which is apologies. I received none today. Has any from the floor? No apologies. Thank you, members. Members, agenda item 2 is declarations of interest, and we will take them as the meeting progresses if you are happy enough with that. Okay, we're on to agenda item 3, and we're going to receive a presentation from the Labour Market Partnership. This is going to be delivered by Tracy Rice, who's the chair of the LMP, and David Curley, Council Skills and Employability Officer. So you're very welcome here tonight, folks. I believe you've been well warned that, if the presentation's between 10 and 15 minutes, I'd appreciate it, and then we'll have some questions from members. So I'm going to hand over to you folks. Who's starting off there? Right, where is he?
Put your finger on it. No.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members, and thank you for inviting David and myself to come along tonight to present to you on the LMP. I am Tracy Rice, the Chair of LMP and the Head of Business Engagement at Southern Regional College in my day job. So I'm just going to take you through a quick introduction of the LMP and the work we've done over the last year, and then I'm handing over to David, who will take you through our action plan and what we're working on this year for 23-24. So the Labour Market Partnership membership is made up of quite a wide range of stakeholders from the college, from the community and economic development teams at the council, jobs and benefits offices, the Northern Ireland Union for Supported Employment, NI Food and Drink, the Southern Trust, TADA and Rural Support Network, the enterprise agencies, Manufacturing NI and DFE Career Service. And we meet every month, and it's fair to say we have quite a good attendance at our meetings, thankfully, and members come along and support the work and provide input. So in the last financial year, 22-23, we supported 149 people who are previously unemployed, underemployed, people at risk of redundancy into employment through a range of programmes. We had rapid response programmes, and we had a HDV Academy, very successful, and that work has been filtered through into this year as well. More than 150 employers and organisations took part in a variety of events throughout the year. And we have more than 45 local employers who filled vacancies through the Labour Market Partnership programmes. So we did carry out a strategic assessment last year, which identified 3 key themes, which we have now looked to address in our new action plan for this year. And they are skill, labour supply, disability and economic inactivity. And when David goes through our action plan and what we're working on this year, he'll take you through those themes. So David, I'll hand over to you to take the members through the action plan for this year.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you, members, for having us here today. So our first programme we're going to talk about today is our female focus programme. So this is a modular programme. It's for 30 women returners. So it's going to allow flexibility and attendance requirements to meet the women's needs. So each participant will complete a 1-week employability training, and then they'll have the option to select additional ad hoc modules throughout their participation as identified through their action plan. So through this programme, through our strategic assessment, we found that the biggest barrier for women returning to the labour market is their childcare. So there is a childcare subsidy in this that we will pay while they are doing work placement and training to remove the biggest barrier. The next programme is our underemployment programme. So this is an upskilling programme that will help 24 migrant workers move into higher paid roles. So the programme will include 10 weeks of ESOL and employability training, as well as mentoring and job matching. So each participant on this programme is going to have an assessment to identify their levels of English, and then they'll be split into separate classes. So the ESOL will be tailored. It's also going to be tailored vocationally. So that's going to be working with local employers to have their input on it from the start to help meet their needs as well as the participants. Classes and engagement will be across all areas within the borough, and there'll be cultural and conversational classes with tutors that will cover a minimum of 7 languages, and it will also include sector-specific training. Our third programme we are running this year is our disability employment programme. So that is through Stepping Stones NI. So this is an employment support program for a minimum of 40 participants within the borough. So this will include accredited training, one-to-one mentoring, work placements and job matching to support people with disabilities gain employment. The training is going to run across 4 cohorts, 1 day per week for 6 weeks. And there's going to be a variety of training, including world host, customer service, benefits, sport training, and mental health awareness. But as with this program and with all our programs, employers are going to be engaged from the beginning, so they will have input into all the training to make sure we're meeting their needs. There will be allowances to cover costs of travel, childcare, any other barriers that we see, so they can fully participate in the program. And then there will be employer neurodiversity training that's going to be delivered to all employers who come on to the program. The next one is our rapid response programs. So this is 5 academies we created. So in our strategic assessment, we identified that there are a number of sectors where demand for employers for vacancies is currently exceeding the number of people available to meet these needs. So we have designed these 5 specific programs that will recruit 140 people in total, 28 per academy. So the first one we're looking at is for childcare. This will involve an accredited child safeguarding level 2, along with mentoring and job matching. Further training will be offered to participants as there is a budget there for that. We have quite a number of childcare providers who have already expressed an interest in filling vacancies through the academy, just because of how short staffed they are across the borough from every area. And then there's also going to be a built-in progression plan for participants who complete the qualification, so they can progress onto apprenticeship schemes, which are now open to all ages. Our second rapid response program is for classroom assistants. Through the strategic assessment, this has been identified that there is just a real need for classroom assistants within all schools, especially special needs schools within our borough. So this program will have accredited child safeguarding level 2, which is the minimum requirement to come into the schools to work. So school engagement has begun to help them fill the void. So we're going out to every school within the borough to see how we can support. Our third program is for pharmacy dispensary. So this program is being delivered by Southern Regional College. This will be over 2 cohorts, each taking 15 half days to complete, which will involve accredited ICQ level 2 awards in understanding customer service for the pharmacy sector, as well as other modules. This will take place in Portadown and Banbridge campuses. And then our 4th and 5th programs are both being delivered by Global Education NI. So they'll be around the manufacturing and engineering sectors. With these programs, they're very industry specific. So we've already started engaging with local employers so they can tailor what the program is going to deliver to their needs. The flexibility with this program is, both programs are for 28 participants, but if employers come to us and say that this is a bigger area of demand, we can then move numbers and tailor training to that. So multiple employers have already expressed an interest. A lot of the feedback we've got already is, even having people going in at manual handling level 1 or having CSR cards would really help to meet their requirements. Through LMP, we have a number of public-facing events. So we have had 3 job fairs take place already this year, all which have been very successful. Portadown, for example, had 120 people surveyed, that we had 208 attendees and 25 employers attend, and 5 people secured employment within the first week of attending that job fair. Lurgan and Armagh both took place in the last number of months, and Banbridge job fair will take place in February. We will also have Northern Ireland's first reverse job fair for people with disabilities in the Civic Centre here on the 18th of January. And then the big apprenticeship event will take place on the 8th of February 2024 in partnership with SRC. Our Get Future Ready programme is tailored to engage with young people within the borough. We are partnering with Young Enterprise NI to deliver a portion of this programme. So the first strand of this is the You're Hired programme. So this is going to take place within the schools within the council's catchment area starting from October. running right through to the end of March 2024. Within this programme, students will develop their employability skills through learning how to find and apply for a job. Programme will have 5 modules that'll go through everything sort of needed to enter the labour market. And then we'll have an entrepreneurial masterclass event here in the Civic Centre on the 16th of November. These programmes have gone out to all 23 post-primary schools within the borough. So they've all been invited to utilise both facets of the programme. To date, it's just went out a week ago. 15 schools have signed up with over 2,000 students already confirmed for the school events. And then we'll just be partnering with Bring It On IT, who will be delivering a masterclass also here on the 30th of November. And that will be to inform young people of careers in IT. So there'll be industry specific speakers to tell them how to get in to that field. And then just finally, we wanted to end on a good news story from last year's programmes. So this is Natalie Kane. Natalie was a motocross world champion. So her passion has always been driving. But when she reached the age of 30, she didn't want to do that anymore, and she wanted to get into a career. So Natalie comes from a family of lorry drivers, and her uncle had seen the council's post about the HGV Academy. So Natalie attended, and through the training she gained a Class 1 and Class 2 licence, and has now been employed by Paul Thompson Freight. And Natalie is one of 51 people that were employed through the HGV programme. So it was very successful.
Yep. Thank you very much, Tracy and David, for your presentation. Members, we're open for questions now. So maybe I'll start the ball rolling. You mentioned throughout that childcare. How much of an impediment is childcare to getting people back into the workforce? Is it availability or is it cost? So would appreciate your thoughts on that. Please want to take that.
I suppose it's the lack of availability is driving up the cost. Armagh County itself is the second highest, most expensive in childcare. So there really is a lack. All childcare providers are really struggling to recruit at the moment. So although this programme is probably not enough to cover the need, it's sort of a starting point to help address. Yeah.
Thanks very much for that, David. I'm going to bring in Alderman Greenfield next.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the report tonight. It is certainly good to see the end on a good news story. I think I was at one of the launch things that were done. I'm not sure. I think Alderman Burns maybe had one for the HGV, and neither the two of us young people could climb into the lorry. We had to stand at the front maybe. But I'm not sure if it was exactly like that, but it is great to see that story then. I think it's great in this to see even, and thank you for including in the classroom assistant, especially the special needs for that is something. I was at one of the schools one day and there was 14 special needs teachers required on that day, and another school 7, and we have engaged with some schools to find out. So it is great to see something that can adapt to suit what's needed in our area, and it certainly has proven successful so far. And I want to thank you for the work that's going on to it. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman Greenfield. I'm going to bring in Councillor O'Hanlon, who's online. So, Councillor O'Hanlon.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, David, for the presentation. So, first of all, I know I was involved in some meetings around getting the pharmacy dispensary element included into the programme. So I'm delighted to see that and hope to see the uptake and then the impact in the sector going forward. Can I just ask in relation to the classroom assistants and the childcare providers about how do we encourage people who are interested in taking part in those courses? So how do we direct them to you in order to take part?
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor O'Hanlon. David, bring you in, and is that okay?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. So if you just pass on, it can be either my email or our LMP at Armagh, Banbridge and Craigavon email address, or they can give us a call and we can direct them to the service providers delivering the programmes.
And Chair, if you permit me, can I just ask, are all schools and childcare providers aware of this, of these courses, because I know I sit on a number of board of governors and I'm aware of people in the childcare sector who are really, really struggling to get staff. So I think it's important that we try and get the message out around these two particular courses.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that, Councillor Hanlon. And I think his question was around how to promote it. Is that something you actively do then? David, I'll bring you in there just for a quick comment.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. So we are currently, we've done the launch photo in the last number of weeks. So it's going to go out on all council social media and website and press releases for that. And then we are directly contacting. So if we go onto websites and see vacancies that recurrently come up, then we will contact the businesses to see how we can assist with that. But if there is any businesses at all and you want to pass to us, we would be more than happy to engage with them.
That's great. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for that, David. And we have Alderman Barry.
Thank you, Chairman. To thank you, Tracy and David, for your presentation. It is encouraging that in 22 and 23, nearly 150 people have been supported, which is very good. If 10 people have supported, it's good, but 150 is even better. So I would like to commend the partnership and the work that you all do. It's something that we hear quite often from employers, that they find it difficult even to get workers, but circumstances of childcare and all of those things are barriers for a lot of people. So I really just want to commend what you are doing and to encourage you to continue to do it. And just one question in relation to the public facing events and the job fairs. How have you found them going in relation to the location of them? What feedback has there been from the employers and have they suggested any other ways of trying to get out there into the community? I just would be interested just to hear from that employer side how they feel it works, and to evaluate that every year to see, is there something else we could do to get closer to the community out there? Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Barry. David, yep, I'll bring you in, David. Answer that.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Yes, we would evaluate all the employers would give us evaluations on the day. So from the 3 job fairs so far, we have had 62 employers in attendance, and all the feedback has been positive. One thing they did mention was having it local really seems to work for them. So within each of the locality, we're only bringing in employers who have live vacancies within that area. So, you know, they're meeting local people and there is local jobs. So that has been a real positive on it. But we are constantly taking feedback to how we can adapt and improve it to meet their needs.
Thank you very much for that, David. I'm going to bring in Councillor Kyle Savage now.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, David and Tracy, for your presentation. It's great sitting here and hearing a lot of positive news for a change, so as you know, but especially commend you on the female focus program as well, and the disability one, because that has been sectors that have been perhaps missing in the past in that, and we just need to get the gender pay balance sorted out now going forward, and that'll be it. But thank you very much. Commend you on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Savage. And there's no more hands up. Are you looking in? Sorry, the Vice Chair is looking. Apologies. I'll bring him in for the last question.
Thank you, Chair. Again, I just want to echo basically all of those words that have been said around the chamber this evening. I just have one question on the reverse job fair. Has this been run before? Is my first question. And you mentioned that you still need to engage with employers to attend on the day. I'm just wondering, in terms of the employers that will attend, with it being sort of disability organisations almost sort of sitting at the tables and having employers approach them. Is it a case that you're hoping for employers who maybe have already employed people, that would have already engaged with these organisations, or at that fair will you also be maybe running, maybe a table, for example, to promote other things that you do, as part of the sort of labour partnership that will then help, employers essentially train up their staff to work, people who have neurodiversities, you know, or sort of other mental or physical difficulties that they may then, you know, sort of look to seek employment through that scheme. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Alexander. David, I'll just bring you in to answer that question.
So it has been, the reverse offer has been run before, but only in England on a few occasions. So this is definitely a pilot scheme here in Northern Ireland. In terms of the employer engagement, a number of employers have suggested they would like to take part. So the likes of Armagh and other organisations, but I suppose the piece around it is having the people signed up so we know what sort of sectors they would like to work in, and then bringing in the employers. But the day will be organised so that the employers know who they're going to be meeting. It'll be very scheduled, and there will be a number of supports there for both employers and for the participants. And then that across, we will offer neurodiversity training to any employer that would like it.
It's brilliant. Thanks very much. Tracy and David, thanks very much for your presentation tonight and answering questions. I think from the council, the vibe is keep on doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. So you're free to go. So it's okay. So have a good evening, folks. Okay, members, we're going to move on to the Head of Economic Development report. There's 2 decisions items. Nicola's going to take us through both of them. So we're going to start off with decision item 4.1. So I'm going to hand over to Nicola.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good evening, members. Yes, item 4.1 is Food Heartland Celebration Event. It's 23-24. The decision required, it's recommended that the members agree to pilot a new approach to the biannual Food Heartland Awards, 3 celebratory awards for the sector, acknowledging contributions to the agri-food sector across the borough.
Thank you very much for that, Nicola. And I'm going to bring in Councillor Kyle Savage.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Nicola, for your report. Look, happy to propose this, and I think it's so important that we push hard at this Food Heartland. We've seen recently there at the sheepdog trials how important that was, and indeed all the work from the tourism department and the Food Heartland, and indeed the town centre manager team for what they have delivered at that. And following that event the whole way through, I must say it was great whenever you see our council team working so well together to deliver such a great outcome in that, you know. But you mentioned the agri strategy in that there, and I suppose under recommendations 1, expand and involve Food Heartland. It is proposed that the Food Heartland should grow to include the provision of additional full-time officers who have agricultural appropriate skill sets, who understand the challenges in the area and have the drive to provide and implement solutions within a cohesive team who work together to meet the objectives. I suppose my point is there a dedicated officer to drive this agri strategy forward and indeed the Food Heartland? And if not, that's something that needs to be addressed ASAP, because this has been within 1 to 2 years. We're now fast approaching the 2nd year. So I suppose that's just a query I'd like cleared up. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Councillor Savage. I'll bring Nicola back in. Is that all right, Nicola?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yes, you're quite right. The agriculture strategy is so important to council, and we know how much the sector contributes to the economy, and it is something that council has committed to. You know that we have a Food Heartland assistant, but we also have an economic development team. We also have some consultants who are helping us out and doing background work and support for us. So at the moment, we're driving things forward with the resource that we have, although in the future we will have to look for a future resource. One of the areas that my team now are looking at is the focus on champions for agriculture. And I know that you're very, very much about championing champions for agriculture. And I know that you have supported and provided your assistance to officers. At the moment, we are dealing with the resource in-house with our economic development team and the Food Heartland officer. But in the future, we will have to think about employing additional staff.
Thank you very much for that, Nicola. Yeah, yes, go ahead, Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Chair. Just is there a timeline for this to happen? Because we've seen timelines come and go before, and I think it's very important, especially in the current climate of the environmental issues that's coming facing the agri industry and all that. And I think it's very important that this council leads. Yes, we have the ambassadors, but we also need the ambassadors within council to drive this process forward as soon as possible. And we can't let timelines slip on this. That's very, very important. So it is for our one of the biggest industries within this council area, 7,000 people employed. So it's very important.
Thanks for that, Councillor Savage. Nicola, I don't know if you're in a position to answer that question tonight. Maybe you want to go back to Councillor Savage outside the meeting if it's about staff and resources. So is that all right? So Nicola, I'm going to touch you about that, Councillor Savage. Councillor McClellan, I want to bring you in now.
Yes, Chair, thanks for letting me in. On my intervention is purely been mindful of the councillor code of conduct. It's to declare a pecuniary interest as a member of the board of the Agri-Food and Biosciences Institute. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Councillor McClellan. Members, there's nobody else indicated to speak. We'll have a proposer, and Councillor Michael has his light on.
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Michael. Councillor Greenfield, or Alderman Greenfield's looking in, so I'll bring him in now.
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to second that, but just when we're talking, I think, some recognition needs to go since 2015 when we first came up with this. I think we've done, and you read through how many have done so well of the different businesses throughout our borough with 27 gold stars and a Great Taste Award stuff. So I think it has been a good success for our council since then, and the fact to keep reinvigorating it and to keep it moving here, I think is very good. It's just one question I was going to ask, and I'm not sure if it just about it, but obviously there's quite a few in the last number of years new businesses started. How do they be notified about this type of thing, keep involved? I'm thinking of even the changes I know in my own family, but like gluten-free, there's now gluten-free business, there are different types of specialist type of thing. It's just something, how do we bring them on board, or they're made aware of this? Because we have some really great, I think they can learn well from a lot of people that are on this and already involved. It's just a question on that, if someone could come back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alderman Greenfield, I'll bring Nicola in to answer that.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your question. Yes, we do a lot of work with our enterprise agencies. We find the enterprise agencies would be the first stop for anybody wanting to start in business, because they run the Business Start programme for us. And we know that there's a lot of expertise around the Enterprise Northern Ireland in terms of food. So we deal a lot with Enterprise Northern Ireland, and they can signpost people onto us. We also have a Food Heartland e-zine that goes around all the existing Food Heartland businesses and any others that we can think of that we would meet at events. Our Food Heartland officer goes out to the farm shows, the food shows, and is out there clicking and collecting information from anybody who wants to receive our e-zine as well. So we have a number of ways of gathering that and letting new businesses know what the Food Heartland's all about.
Thank you very much for that, Nicola. So 4.1 was proposed by Councillor Kyle Savage. It was seconded by Councillor Liam Mackle. We all agreed, members? Right, thank you, members. We're going to move on to 4.2, which is a COVID recovery, small settlements, regeneration programme, business support grants. So, Nicola, you're going to take this one as well. So I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, a decision required. It's recommended that members request an extension to the COVID Recovery Small Settlement Regeneration Programme to the 31st of March 2025 from the Department for Communities.
Thank you very much, Nicola. I'm going to bring in Councillor O'Hanlon. He was in first, so over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thanks, Nicola. Also, particular thanks to Julianne Spence. I know she briefed the Armagh Crusher DEA group in relation to this, and particularly I think it's important that we try and use the underspend that's there to benefit of the rural towns and villages that it was earmarked for. So look, I'm happy to propose the request for an extension to the scheme, and hopefully we see a further call out to see the last of the money spent in the towns and villages listed. So happy to propose.
Thank you very much, councillor O'Hanlon. So we'll have it proposed, folks, but there's a few speakers, so I'm going to bring in Alderman Barry first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would like to second that, but I just have a question, and it's in relation to the time frame, because I know in one of our previous Economic Development Committee meetings, when I think it was the round one, I had expressed concern, as did others, in relation to the very short time frame that businesses had to apply for this funding. It was 1 month. I think it was something of that nature, and by the time you had gone round to the businesses that I spoke to, had gone around to different graphic companies and other suppliers for improvements to their shop fronts. They couldn't get the quotes, just hadn't the time to get them. So could I just ask Nicola, what time frame are we talking about here? When will this be advertised, and how long will this be open for? Because I think you'd have no problem getting rid of the remainder of that budget if businesses had the appropriate time frame given the nature of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman Barry, and indeed you did raise that the last time. I think a few other members did. So Nicola, have you any answers to Alderman Barry's questions, please?
Well, the answer is really, once we get the extension to the letter of offer, they'll be able to see what timeframes we have as well. We also like to work with those that are providing the services. Maybe there's painting to be done or outside work, and we'll find that sometimes over the winter that's a silly thing just to advertise that at that particular time. But we will work with businesses, and I will endeavour to make sure it is kept open as long as possible.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Nicola. Councillor O'Hanlon, you looking back in?
Yeah, Chair, just mindful of Councillor Barry's query. Nicola, would it be helpful if we give delegated authority, obviously through us and then on through to council, that should that extension be granted by the department, that we could then proceed to open the call without having to come back through to committee again? Because if that's required, I'd be happy to include that as an amendment to the proposal.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor O'Hanlon. Members, have a proposal and a seconder for that on Councillor O'Hanlon's proposed amendment that we give delegated authority to get this expedited. I'll second that, or we're content with that, members, so that we'll have delegated authority so that can be expedited. Yep. Okay. So, members, that was proposed by Councillor O'Hanlon, seconded by Alderman Barry, and then the second proposal was from Councillor O'Hanlon and seconded by myself. So are we all agreed on that? Great, thank you very much, members. The next item, members, is 4.3, and it's sort of linked to the presentation we had with the employability and skills and the labour market partnership action plan, which we're taking through. So are we happy to note? Happy to note, thank you. Members, that takes us on to agenda item 5, the Head of Tourism, Arts and Culture report. So I'm going to hand over to Brian for a decision item in relation to museum accreditation, and I'll bring you in now, Brian.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. So this report is similar to the one we brought last month for Armagh County Museum. So you'll recall from last month, the council has 3 accredited museums: Armagh County Museum, the Barn Museum in Craigavon at Tannockmore, and F.E. McWilliam Gallery. And they require renewal of the accreditation status every 5 years, and part of that process is bringing this through as a decision item through council. So the Barn Museum will come later in the year. So the recommendation for members is that members approve the documentation, policies and procedural manuals, collection care and conservation policies, access policies and forward plan for F.E. McWilliam Gallery and Studio. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Members, have we any questions? I'm going to Alderman Mitra.
Thank you, Chair, and I thank Brian for bringing that report. Happy to propose, but I take it there are no cost implications then for council. They're not noted in the paper anyway. No. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Mitra. And as Brian pointed out, there's no cost to the council. So you proposed that, Alderman Mitra, didn't you? Yep. Have we a seconder? Councillor Kyle Savage. So, members, that was proposed by Alderman Mitra, seconded by Councillor Kyle Savage. Are we all agreed? Thank you. Okay, that takes us on to agenda item 6, and it's a head of community development report. We have 2 decision items here, members. The first one is a PCSP annual report for 22-23. And Alison, I think you're going to take us through this. So I'm going to hand over to Alison, members.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. And before you this evening, you have the PCSP annual report for the year 2022 to 2023. In accordance with the legislation within the Justice Act, ANI, PCSPs are required to produce and submit an annual report on their workings to the Joint Committee of the Northern Ireland Policing Board and the Department of Justice, detailing the work that has been carried out the year previous to that. You'll find that the report is attached at the appendix for yourselves, and if you haven't already, I would encourage you to have a look through it. It's a very colourful report. There's a lot in it. It details the vast amount of the work that is done by the Policing and Community Safety Partnership, and is very reflective of the strong partnership that exists there between the internal partnership of the elected members, our independent members, our statutory partners, and the community and organisations that the PCSP work with, and would commend also the work that the team within the PCSP continue to do, which hopefully is demonstrated within the report for yourselves. So the decision before you tonight is to recommend that members approve the PCSP annual report for the 22-23 year to submit for submission to the Joint Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Alison. Thank you very much for that. Councillor O'Halloran's indicated he wishes to speak, so we'll bring him in first.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thanks for the report. Look, in the first instance, I'm happy to propose the adoption of the report. I note that there it references priority ASB areas across the council, parks and open spaces, and that there are currently a number of areas being prioritised. And whilst I appreciate that, and I note, for example, Armagh city centres included, we've seen a recent spike of antisocial behaviour in the Katy area, including issues around fireworks, issues in the park in Katy Glen, but also including issues around a number of vehicles been attacked and burnt. Can I ask that the officers reach out to me in the coming days and arrange a meeting to discuss? But it's something I'd like to see that area, the scope of that work widened to include Katy.
Yeah. Hold on. Thanks for that, Councillor O'Halloran. I think that's sort of blended into 6.2 there. Seamus, you had the request for the meeting. Is that something you can contact Councillor O'Halloran about? So, Councillor O'Halloran, Seamus will contact you in relation to that issue. So you're happy to propose the report, aren't you? So, Councillor Flaherty, you were looking in next, weren't you? I knocked your mic off there by mistake, so I'll bring you in next.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. I'm more than happy, of course, Alison, to second this, but I suspect you'll not be able to take it from me as an elected member who sits on PCSP. So I might need somebody else here to swing in. But can I just say a huge vote of thanks to the staff across the board in PCSP. You only have to look, as you say, there's 64 jam-packed pages there in that report, and you know, some of it doesn't even touch the sides of what actually goes on. It really, I've said it before in the chamber, PCSP is sometimes seen as the white horse here that swings in whenever anything's going down, and they're always there. And it really is a very worthwhile group. I'm so glad I've been involved with it from I first came onto council, and it probably would be remiss of me not to say that please get on board and share what they're doing. That's part of what we're trying to do in PCSP, is to keep getting the word out. And of course, they're recruiting for independent members, and the application has been extended, I believe, into the start of November. And I really would encourage anybody, if you're in touch with any of your community groups, to get them involved. The more people from more backgrounds that are involved, the better it'll be for everybody. So thanks again, and I'm happy to second the report, of course.
Thanks, Councillor Flaherty. And I suppose like you're on the PCSP, but it's only endorsing the report, so it is. So I think we're content with that there. I think we'll take that in this case. It's not anything major there. Alderman Greenfield, you're looking in.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I suppose, Chair, it was to sort of say the same, declaring others, but reading through the report, I just want to put on record that my attendance wouldn't have been great last year as Lord Mayor. I didn't get to too many, I don't think, out to the meetings, but I had many an event to attend with the PCSP and did see firsthand the work that goes on. So I just wanted to congratulate them on the work. They were right across the borough in every angle, and there was always another email that did another event on and to call in, and even the jobs for in the SRC a couple of weeks ago was good to attend with them in Banbridge, and also they did step up in their event in Rathfriland and help out, and they're always there, as Councillor Flacker has said. So, but I suppose just worth noting that. For a read through that and I went, oh, that doesn't look good. But then with a busy year. But thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Greenfield. I know why you weren't intending. You're busy with other duties last year. So we've got a proposer, and Councillor O'Hanlon, seconded by Councillor Flaherty. So we all agreed on that recommendation, members? Yes. Thank you. And Alison, we're going to you again for 6.2, and it's a collaborative approach to addressing antisocial behaviour. So Alison, I'll hand over to you, okay?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, members, the second report tonight is with regards to the ongoing collaborative work that takes place to address antisocial behaviour issues across the borough, and with the decision of a recommendation that the approach to update members on ASB be approved. I just want to make note of one or two points within the report that you have before me. It does include details on a number of the collaborative approaches which we have reported on previously and give regular updates to the members on, including details on hotspots that our wardens patrol, details as well on some of the communications work, and an update on the regular meetings of the officer ASB working group. Just wanted to take the opportunity tonight just to remind members, and you'll find it attached at Appendix 3 and 4. We did develop reporting protocols for antisocial behaviour for use both internally and externally by the public as well, and have shared them with internal staff and yourselves. And also we have had posters and leaflets developed as well for public use and use social media as well to advertise that. And I would just encourage members to, if they get a chance, if there are ASB issues to arise, to have a look at those protocols to see if there's a potential pathway there to address the issues that arise. And if not, then there's always the opportunity to make contact with the PCSP team and also your colleagues who would sit on the PCSP themselves. But taking on board comments that were made and a request made at the recent council meeting, what we are going to propose going forward is that we continue our regular antisocial behaviour reports to committee under these headings. And in addition to that, that we will establish a monthly online drop-in meeting for elected members to attend to discuss and raise any emerging issues. And what we would be proposing is that we would aim to schedule this for a week or so before our officer-based ASB working group. So if there are issues of concern, then they can be brought forward and tabled at the ASB officers working group for problem solving and to look at solutions for that. So just encourage members tonight, if you're content with that, to recommend that approach of continuing the regular reports to committee and also establishing a monthly drop-in online session be approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alison, for that. Just before we take any questions, at the pre-meeting, Seamus did advise that at any time members can contact him about ABS. There's no requirement to wait to the drop-in or any time like that. The phone can be lifted at any stage. So I'll bring in Alderman Burns first.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to propose the recommendation. It sounds a good way forward for all of us. So I'm happy to propose. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman Burns. Councillor O'Hanlon, your hands up. Was that up from before, or is that the new hands up?
Chair, I'm happy to second.
Thank you. Okay, I'll bring in Alderman Mitry as well, proposing seconder, but Alderman Mitry wishes to speak, so I'll bring him in.
Thank you, Chair. I was well and happy to propose or to second. That has been done, but I'm happy to endorse the decision. The stronger the link is between elected members of this council and the PCSP, and indeed the constituents on the ground that have been impacted by antisocial behaviour, the better, as far as I'm concerned. So regular meetings and facilitating them is very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman Mudry. So members, that was proposed by Alderman Burns. It was seconded by Councillor Holland. We all agreed? Thank you very much, members. Okay, so I'm going to seek a proposing seconder to go into committee. Alderman Greenfield, Councillor McClellan, thank you. Okay, members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, exempt information, we will now be moving into a confidential session of the council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. So can I ask the ICT officers to turn off the feed and confirm with me when the confidential section of this meeting can proceed? on the public feed again and confirm with me when it's on so the meeting can proceed again in open session. Okay, members, we're back in open session. Agenda item 8 is any other relevant business. I wasn't notified of any before 12 o'clock, so there is no any other relevant business. Okay, members, good night. Yeah, bye.